I want to love myself without needing someone else to say it to me. I want to love myself without needing someone's help to show it to me. Hey, cause I can be mean in my mind, beat myself up all the time with awful thoughts, and I can't eat myself alive. I'm gonna try, it's gonna be an awkward talk, but I love you, I don't say it enough. I love who you are, who you've become. Don't know why I cannot hear it, unless it comes from someone else. But I'ma find a way to finally feel it when I say it to myself. When I say it to myself. I want to be someone who's not swayed by opinions. Be me authentically without the apologies. I want my heart to soar without being insecure, and point out what's wrong with me. Sometimes subconsciously, yeah, I can be mean in my mind, beat myself up all the time with awful thoughts, and I can't eat myself alive. I'm gonna try, it's gonna be an awkward talk, but I love you, I don't say it enough. I love who you are, who you've become. Don't know why I cannot hear it, unless it comes from someone else. But I'ma find a way to finally feel it when I say it to myself. When I say it to myself. I want to love myself without needing someone else to say it to me. I love you, I don't say it enough. I love who you are, who you've become. Don't know why I cannot hear it, unless it comes from someone else. But I'ma find a way to finally feel it when I say it to myself. When I say it to myself. When I say it to myself.
Hey, community, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so great to see you this evening. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy, and this is the second monthly setup for February. Last night you had Katie, and I got to be with Katie as her co pilot. Tonight, I'm here in front of the camera. You get to keep your cameras off and your mics off. And then joining me, my co-facilitator tonight, my co-pilot is the fabulous Bailey Grady, and she's going to be hanging out in the chat. She's popping on to give you a wave. I hope you can see her. Oh, we got a baby. Yes, her little furry babies are going to offer. That's her assistants. That they help her get get through that. So hopefully you can see her little lovey-dovey there. But Bailey will be hanging out there. And so if I'm chatting with you and something comes up and you need an answer, she's going to point you in the right direction. She's also making sure that, everybody who's here belongs here because we create a safe space when we're with one another. I am coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area where I walked this afternoon because we kind of had this little cool afternoon, not cold afternoon, and it was really nice. And I noticed I had a lot of my Texas neighbors gathered with us tonight, but also welcome to all of you. So is there may be some brand new folks. I'm wondering because I'm seeing lots of familiar names. If you are joining us for the very first time, coming to a social and seeing what this idea of this community support is, drop a me in the chat because the whole Sonder community wants to give you a welcome. Hi, Esther. We're glad you're here. Um, we like to think of this as like our accountability group. So we've got this beautiful journal filled with wonderful tools And sometimes it may be feeling like, oh, I'm a little overwhelmed. How do you use it? And and you've got us. We're going to help you. We're going to go through our monthly setup tonight. We're going to show you examples. We're going to drop examples back, down in that chat. We're going to say, here's what I do with these pages. And it might be something that you've never considered before, but that might work for you. I see we also have some returning folks. So I'm so glad. I'm glad for that. And I tell you, I always do better with things like this, with practices to make myself a better person when I've got some accountability. And so this is also that accountability group, and I say it every time. A long time ago, I used to walk a lot, like 3 miles in the morning before I got going, but I had a friend who showed up on my front door at 5:30 in the morning. And so I knew she was waiting for me. And if I had been left to my own devices, I wouldn't have walked. So, we're each other's accountability partner to hold this appointment, carve out this time. We are being a little selfish and taking care of ourselves. So I'm proud of all of you. I love this meme. I can't believe it's not February yet. January is, 587 days long. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like we come off the high of the holidays and these days just drag, and we made it. We've made it to February. And speaking of February, this is the American Heart Association Go Red for Women month, and it is all about heart health for women. So please indulge me and read through this graphic, because we women tend to not take care of ourselves and ignore signs of things that could be going on in our body. And so these are the leading symptoms to heart issues in females. And so I know the majority of us gathered here identify as female, and I want to make sure that we are embracing this idea of caring for ourselves during the month of February, which is the Go Red for Women month. But also, take care of the others who are in your life as well. So um I think the first Friday in February is actually Go Red Day, and you're encouraged to wear red to show that you care about your heart and the heart of others. So I just wanted to give that shout out. I used to go to a big conference every year, and we all wore red on the Friday because it coincided with that training conference, and so it's just kind of a little personal moment for me to remind you to take care of your heart during this month. Um, we've got an exciting announcement. So that Silk and Sonder launched the personal coaching several months ago, and it was in beta form testing. A lot of you hopped on that. You've given feedback. You found what worked. You found things that didn't quite glitch, that felt glitchy or whatever. And you gave all your information back and said, here's what I'm loving, here's what I'd like to see. And so our personal coaching now has been refined, and Meha is going to do another beautiful town hall to introduce this personal coach to everybody. So if you missed her talk on it the very first go round a few months ago, mark your calendar. This is a free seminar. She's going to be able to tell you, what you can gain from this. And Bailey's dropping some more information in the chat. But even if you're still on the fence, you're not sure if it feels like it might not be affordable right now, please reach out to Silk and Sonder, because they really want to help us all grow and have our lives transform. So there's that shout out, February 6th from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time. And yeah, Bailey, thank you so much for dropping all of those links in the chat. So I encourage you just to check it out. For those of you who are using the coach, I'm sure that you'll agree with me. You're finding it adding a little bit of magic to your life and really helping you streamline the ways that you can take care of yourself to be a better version of yourself. All right. When we are together, we create safe spaces. These community guidelines are going to show up every time you log on to a webinar with our Sonder community. And so, these are our reminders about those safe spaces, about where to contact Silk and Sonder if you need help. Bailey and I don't have access to the headquarters information. So if you have questions about your account, about shipping, about the plan that you're on, you want to upgrade, you want to maybe go month to month, whatever, that is hello@silkandsonder.com. And a reminder that these socials are a tool to help us elevate our wellness. But if at any time you're not feeling it, give yourself that permission to just sit back. We're all, so, I know many of us will just gather. It's been a rough day and you just want to hang out with Silk and Sonder family. You want to hear, some chill music. You might want to just engage in the chat with those people that you've grown to love, our virtual community. So, it's always about coming as you are, where you are, no matter your headspace, and taking what you need during that time. We have this new theme of admiration. Now, I have loved prosperity, and I have loved prosperity through the lens of everything that's not affiliated with money. I've loved looking at prosperity with my health, with my relationships, with my well-being, with my mindset. I've loved all of that. And now it's time to dive into admiration. And from Mayha's letter, one of the first things she says is this month's theme encourages us to explore how we give and receive appreciation in our lives. And I found this little graphic that I love about looking in that mirror and what do we see? And then we are reminded that sometimes we don't recognize just how beautiful we are until we can see ourselves through the eyes of others. And so I hope that this theme is going to help open our eyes to the wonderfulness of who we are, each one of us, and then what we bring to the world as a community. Um, Speaking of her letter, I do encourage you spend a little bit of time each month and read her letters, because these letters tell us why the theme, what she's thinking, why it's important, and sort of sets us up for the journey of this monthly theme. The monthly themes have been such a life-changing deal for me since I discovered Silk and Sonder, and really having these lenses to explore who I am, even though I'm kind of in the later chapters of my life. So I wish I had always had this kind of mindset to examine my life when I was younger. A couple of things hopped out at me. And Alexandria, I love it. She said I took a highlighter to it. So she's pulled out those things that are speaking to her. I did the same with the things that you see over there on the right, that this month often feels like a time for love. I put on my Valentine earrings because I'm with some favorite people tonight, and I'm kind of welcoming that vibe of the love month. There's a deeper appreciation for the people and experiences that shape our lives. And I consider, y'all part of my life. My life's been shaped by you. And then we are going to explore how we give and receive that appreciation. It's that double thing. It's the putting the mask on you and then taking care of others. It's remembering that admiration is a form of nourishment for the soul. I always appreciate the word nourishment. It strengthens bonds, uplifts spirits, and reminds us of beauty in our connection. And it helps us, we just need to learn to be generous with admiration. And I highlighted the words, appreciation, give and receive, nourishment, generous. I think it's going to be a rich month for all of us. And yes, I neglected to say this is page 2 of your journal. And I often tell y'all, I get a magazine and I skip right over the letter from the editor. Don't do that with our journal. You're going to want to read those. So tonight we're going to open up by, considering our acrostic poem, those first things that are starting to hit our heads about admiration. And some of you have already said I am needing this tonight. Like I'm ready for this theme and I need this in my life. So kind of hang on to that. Um, Pilar, if you don't have your journal and you're waiting on it to arrive, no worries. Just take notes tonight, and Bailey will share any information you need if you want more information about the journal subscription. We are going to do our January reflections because that is a practice of gratitude when we take a moment to look backward at what the last month brought us. We're going to be setting intentions for February, our new month, mood tracker and habit tracker, and then we will wind up the evening together. So, our acrostic poem is on page 19, so you don't have to use a precious notes page in your journal this month. Turn to page 19 and start thinking about what comes to mind when you think of admiration. It may be some of those words that are in that letter from Meha, and you may actually want to skim that letter before you begin working on your poem. Start, brainstorming, maybe on a scratch piece of paper, write down the things that are popping into your mind and come up with 10 words or phrases that describe what admiration means to you. And then see if you can work that in this poem, this acrostic poem, using the letters from the word admiration. You can do sentences, one word, sets of words for each line. And I've got a couple of examples to show you. There's what the page looks like. So it's really nice that we've got that this month. But I'm also going to give you permission, like if that word February speaks to you, maybe go in that direction with your acrostic poem to get your mind going. And I will share with you, mine is on the left this month, and I managed to fit in all my people, my husband, my kids, their spouses, and my grandkids. And I put tribe for the letter T, and of course our last name, Ogilvy, for the letter O. So I just use the people that I most admire in life and plug them in that way. All the way over on the right is from Sonder Club from last night's setup. Someone was lovely enough to share their poem for a little inspiration. And if admiration is your, I don't know, I'm not sure if I want to land on that word, but you want something like admiration. I've got a little bit of a word cloud down below with a lot of words that are synonyms for admiration, or maybe some of those synonyms you can work into your poem. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to put on some music while you tap into your inner poet. That's so good for your brain to kind of think in a lyrical manner. And I'll be back to check in with you in just a few moments. Share in the chat as you are comfortable. Alrighty. So some of you were able to finish up your poem you've shared. I love that we saw a couple of the word dream in a couple of those. And oh, I see. Okay, and I'm looking at the chat real quick. Akasua says she leaned into embracing February and using that. I love that. So it's all about this is your journal. You do what speaks to you. I do encourage you to sit with poetry every now and then because it really does tap into parts of our brain that don't get used. And so that's some good brain health when you're thinking in those terms. But thanks for visiting the word admiration through your acrostic poem. Feel free to continue to work on that while we're chatting it up, or you can come back to it later. And I want to remind you, as we're wrapping up January and prosperity, go look at what you wrote about prosperity and see if that poem is still hitting the same as it did a month ago, or would there be some changes? Did you grow in some new ways through your work this past month? So be sure to go take another little quick look at January's poem as well. I found this. Oh, I just loved it because this feels like our Silk and Sonder journey. If life was a book, every day would be a new page, every month a new chapter, and every year would be a new series. And I just think about holding our journals and what, this chapter, this new month means to us. I feel like that little cartoon meme was meant just for us as we are beginning our new chapter, the chapter we shall call February. So let's take a look at our monthly planner. Our reflection page for this last month can be found on page 8. And we have two sections on this page. We have the reflections at the top where we're going to look at our wins and our challenges and our favorite moments. And some of those wins and favorite moments may be the same thing. Um, but it's important to take that look back. And as you're working through your challenges, I want you to think about what you learned from those challenges, what they taught you, because that is part of our journey. Then at the bottom, we have the things we want to start, stop, and continue. So I would like to visit that section after we've done our reflections for the month. So if you'll bear with me, let's work on this top part of the page to start looking at what were those wins. Now, you might want to grab your phone and pull up your calendar, pull up your photos, take a look at the things that captured your attention for the month of January as you are working on this reflection page. Where do you see the wins and those favorite moments in what is reflected in your phone? And then what were the challenges? What were the harder things? You might want to go revisit your rosebud thorn reflections from each week in January. That's a great way to recall those highs and those lows that the month brought you. And again, when you're looking at the challenges, is there a lesson? Can you see why that challenge, why it was important for you to go through that? And then some of our challenges, I say this about our thorns, they don't go away. You might be dealing with chronic health, or someone you love has a chronic health issue, and it's not going to go away, but there is power in being able to just put it on paper and look for those lessons as you are writing it. Oh, and one other thing, sometimes I'll go look at my credit card statement and it'll remind me, oh yeah, we had to get new tires for a car, or we had to replace the water heater, and that was a challenge. We get our pieces of information from all areas of our life. So let's work on these top 3 sections, and then I'll be back to check in with you, and we will do a deeper dig into the start, stop, and continue section at the bottom. I know that you're probably still working on this section, so go ahead and continue to work. I'm going to put on another good chunk of music as we finish up the reflections, but then drop down to the bottom of this page for the reflection of as you're thinking about, this past month and what you want to bring into a new month. I want you to start considering what you want to start, stop, and continue in your life. And I have some great examples from our Sonder community. When we start considering the things we want to start, those are going to be new beginnings for us. The things that maybe we've been thinking about it, but we haven't taken a step forward yet. Maybe there's an area in our life where we want better results, so we're going to change things up a bit, or we're just going to, try something new, keep things fresh. So that would be the types of things that we're going to start. Of course, stopping. What do we need to get rid of? What is not working for us or for those around us because of us? Things that are just not practical. Like the quote is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Like, what do we need to stop so that we can get those different results? Things that you dislike, things that are not serving you any longer. And then, of course, what are you so proud of that you are doing well, that you are going to continue? You're going to keep pressing forward because it is giving you the things you need. And so, one of the things you can consider about this section is to maybe focus on a single area of growth in your life. So, is there maybe a relationship that you want to do a start, stop, and continue? Maybe there's something like a health or wellness or decluttering type thing. What does it look like if all three of these boxes have to do with your health or decluttering? Consider your core values. What do you need to have in place so that you are living to your core values? Finances, education, habits, your word of the year, or maybe to how are you going to better embrace this idea of admiration in your life? And here are some great examples. You don't have to write words. Maybe you've got the stickers that will encapsulate those feelings that those ideas of stop, what you want to start and stop and continue with, like the example you see at the bottom. Also love the idea of asking yourself deep digs, digging deeply by asking yourself these questions. What is it? What is it that I want to start? Why do I want to start this? And how am I going to make that happen? And so that will help you really inform your intentions when you're really fleshing through these ideas of what you're putting in these spaces. Another way to set this up is to maybe repurpose it to this little formula here. I feel X and Y because of, and I want to feel this way. And so you can see someone has put that into play with, I feel tired and heavy because my sleep hygiene is off and IOP is a lot. I'm not even sure what that is. And then what does that tell me I need? I need a purposeful routine that I can stick to, and then they can take that and move forward with their goals, with their habits, with their intentions for the month. Here's some more examples from the Sonder family about what they want to start, stop, and continue as they are thinking about this space. So as we finish writing our reflections and work on the start, stop, and continue box, feel free to share in the chat. I'm going to put on a nice little chunk of music for you, and then I will be back to check in and we'll move forward. Right. So I want to just tell you thanks for stopping for a moment and reflecting on this past month and figuring out what you want to bring into February, what you want to leave behind in January. And I believe that through the work on this page, we can better inform those intentions and those habits that we're going to be tackling this evening. So let's go ahead and move forward into that intentions page, which is on page 9. Now we have 6 key spaces here: spiritual health, personal health, physical health, key relationships, money management, and professional goals. So these are suggestions. If any of these intentions do not speak to you, feel free to change that category up. We want this to work for you. And I loved this February reminders. Your time is too valuable for self-doubts and worries. You are already and will always be loved. It's okay to do what's best for you. The only person you can't afford to lose is you. I love that. The only person you can't afford to lose is you. No worries, no hurry. You'll get there step by step. Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it, Kimberly? And so just, remember that. So as you're setting up these intentions, it's about you. It's about taking care of yourself because you can't afford to lose you. So think about, yes, and Andrea's already saying, think about what you're going to change up so that it speaks to you. She said she changes spiritual to mental. A lot of times my money management becomes my home management or my home and garden management, or like in April is peak gardening time. It'll be all about gardening because that's what speaks to me. And then my personal life space is always my creative life because I'm fortunate that I'm retired and I can dive into the things that feed my creativity. And I want to be very intentional with that. And then finally, my professional goals always get changed to learning goals because I want to, keep the old brain working. So I'm very intentional about how I meet learning goals. So here's some fun information about the month of February. I've got some fun facts. Of course, we've got lots of exciting things that happen in February. And you can see it listed. You can see it on that fun fact page. And so some of these might inform your intention spaces. As you know, we are kind of in this season of Lunar New Year, another fresh start. Silk and Sonder loves a fresh start. And this is the year of the snake, and that the snake is a sign for inner work because it's all about the shedding of things that don't serve us. So I say we embrace the idea of the year of the snake and think about what do we need to shed to get rid of that is standing in our way. National Tater Tot Month. How about that, Doreen? Let's do it. I'll beat you at Sonic for tots. Um, so when we're looking at these intentions, use the theme of admiration. You can do an area in your life you're working on. I think it was Lynn shared that she and her husband are both kind of at the same time are not in a good place together, right? And so maybe you need to focus really hard on just self-love this month. And so you kind of give yourself that theme through all these intentions. You could use a song or lyrics that speak to your intentions, stickers. And then there's the duality idea of letting go of something and then starting something. But I also hope that you are sitting with your January journal. And I want to invite you to go back to that wheel of life that was in our January journal. And where was a space that you kind of took a look at and thought, it's the numbers are not where I'd like them to be. How can you recalibrate that number from that wheel of life by setting some intentions? Is there something you can do this month so that that tool that you used back in January can inform your intentions, which will then inform some goals and habits that you do this month. So grab that January journal and look at that, because that could be a perfect way to dive into your intentions. Here's some great examples from Sonder family. There is not a right or wrong way to set this up. You can you can write a paragraph, you can put one word. I do have this idea of exploring the duality, which is the do and avoid, or I want more of this and less of this, or embrace this and release that. So that balance. And you'll notice in our journal this month, we have a whole duality exercise that we will be having a social over as we explore the duality of who we are. Again, use the monthly theme or your word of the year. If just connect with that, connect with that word of the year. My word of the year is abide, and so I could use that to frame out these sections. I always love the idea of putting statements in the form of affirmations in each one of these spaces. So the statements that start with I will, I can commit, I intend to, I can. Those are really great ways of setting those up. You can pull great quotes that really speak to your soul. Another shout out to changing those intentions to fit your lifestyle, what you have going on. You can see the one in the middle, home management instead of money management, personal fun instead of personal. I love that. Let's just have a whole section on how I'm going to make sure I have fun in my life. The one that's all the way over there on the right, every section has been changed up to this concept of awareness, connection, gratitude, compassion. And then finally, like, look at this one in the middle. They are choosing 4 intentions. So like if you're looking at this for the very first time, you've never sat down and set an intention for a month. Maybe you choose your top 3 spaces and you really lean into those as you get used to this idea of setting intentions, and then just use the other spaces for something like a quote, an affirmation, a Bible verse. It's okay to have less than 6. You know what you need. And so take that into consideration. I love the idea of doing it like a little mini, vision board or kind of scrapbook. The one up at the top, one single word for each one of these sections, which is just so lovely. And then if you are an artist and doodling is your jam and that's how you express yourself, please embrace that, like the one you see there on the bottom left. So let's start digging into our intentions. Now, the things I'd love for you to share in the chat is like, do you rename any of these categories? And how do you do that? Maybe what you're planning to do. Are you using a word of the year? Are you using the theme? Are you looking back at your wheel of life? Are you going to look at your stop, start, and continue? How are you informing this page? Share that, because that can help others. And I'll be back to check in with you in just a few minutes. Sorry about that. I couldn't find my little buttons. I love that Alexandria's got a new little fur baby, and so she is changing one of her boxes to Lilith just so that she can make sure she's focusing on that little fur baby with intentionality every month. I love that, Alexandria. We could do that for any little loved one in our life, whether, it's an old dude in the other room or your children. You can set those intentions up just for that. And then, I've got to shout out to Maggie because she just said in the chat, my wheel of life is so wrong now from when I worked on it a month ago. And isn't that what life is, right? We think we got it. We're blowing and going, and then recalibration. And so all of a sudden something happens and we get off kilter. And that's why those exercises are so good for us, because then we have this intentionality of looking and going, I didn't, when I sat down, then I realized like my finances are not where I thought they were when I took a few minutes to think about them. And that's a low number. And so what do I need to do on this wheel to maybe get that number bumped up, to maybe balance a little bit more? I always say on that wheel of life, it's not about tens in all the areas. It's about a balance that helps you be the best person you are. So thanks for considering that wheel of life as you are setting up your intentions for this month. So now that we have done our reflection, and we're figuring out what we want to bring forward into February. Let's go ahead and look at those mood and habit trackers, because that's how we can now put some action plans in place that will help us meet those intentions. Now we'll start with our mood tracker, which is on page 10. And we have two formats of mood trackers. We like to include this graphic for those of you who are new to us, who are seeing these pages for the first time, because you'll get a mood tracker like this hexagon, and you're like, okay, I'm blowing and going, and then you'll get a month that there's a round wheel there, and it kind of throws you off. So I wanted you just to have that awareness that you're Andrea, I just saw that you put your pups into the bingo board, but not the intentions. Well, maybe they'll have a little intention space. You can always add a little intention space too. Yeah, and recalibration for sure, Marley. We are always recalibrating life. So here is our mood tracker for this month. It's not a leap year. So we have 28 days that we will be tracking. And when we use this as a mood tracker, it can help you understand where trends might be occurring and how you're feeling. When you notice those trends, you can start seeing shifts in how you respond to things, and then you can bring tools into what works. I always laugh, I didn't discover Silk and Sonder until post-COVID. And man, I could have used this mood tracker when I was still working. I ended my career with a not so great boss, and a lot of it was exhaustion on my part and grumpiness, but I'd be okay on the weekends. And so, I wish I could have been intentional with moods to see where and what was going on. The 6 main feelings, which is a very good place to start if you've never done a mood tracker, are going to be those 6 words you see around the outside of the wheel, as well as in the middle of this feelings wheel. And it's the, fear, love, joy, anger, sadness, and surprise. Those are 6 great places to start. So I encourage you to go there now. Maybe, like when I was finishing up my career and working with this difficult boss, I felt a lot of anger, a lot of sadness through my days. And so I might just pull, if I'm in that state of mind, I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I might pull all those feelings that I'm going to track from the anger and sadness space to really try to hone in on what was triggering me, what trends were was I noticing with work days versus weekends and that kind of thing. So it's really up to you. Let me just show you some examples so that might make sense. If you're using this mood tracker for the first time, especially, or just kind of in general, we suggest 2 to 3 positive feelings, 2 to 3 negative feelings, and then, maybe kind of 2 or 3 kind of, or 1 or 2 that are just kind of neutral-ish, like things are good. You can, of course, frame it around admiration. And there's many ways to fill this out. You can track your overall feeling of the day, or you can kind of maybe put in dots for all the different feels for every single day. You might do an hourly check-in with yourself, and just dot, how you're feeling. People use stickers, pens, doodles, all kinds of ways to track that. Let's look at some examples. So the one in the middle, the one on the left, you see in the middle, they have taken those 6 main feelings, like the overall general feelings, and they are incorporating those into their mood tracker, and they've added some of those extra words. So they have a very quick way of looking at, okay, if I'm feeling joy, it means I'm pleased, I'm satisfied, I'm amused, I'm content. So I love that they kind of have like some definitions which you could put in the perimeter of this page just to further explore those feelings. Um, and then it looks like the one that is over on the right, I have to get my right and left down. Look at the one that's kind of middle bottom there. They're going to do an AM and a PM check in, just a little check in with self. So maybe, how am I feeling when I wake up in the morning and I'm looking at my day, and then sort of like at the end of the day, how did I feel like this day went? So you can do your check-ins at any time, right? Maybe you do a midday check in with your mood for the day. Um, and I like the one over here on the upper left, that today I woke up feeling one way and I went to bed feeling one way, and then tracking that. So sort of an overall. While I'm thinking about it, I do think it's very helpful to highlight days that are different from your routine days. And so what I mean by that is, maybe if you work outside the home, you highlight your days off. So that might be the weekends are highlighted, or maybe if you maybe work in a hospital, or you're a firefighter or a police officer and you have shift work, maybe you draw a line around your days off to see if those moods look different from your regular scheduled work days. If that's making sense, it kind of helps you get a better feel for what's going on in your life. We also have the idea of tracking emotions and energy. So look at that one on the bottom right. Here are these emotions, and then where was my energy with that? And when I have low energy, do I notice myself leaning more into a depressive state of mind? So correlating the energy level with how you're feeling. It can be, you're collecting data on yourself. Now, some folks don't use this mood tracker because they maybe have so many moods, they're like, there's no way I could track them all. But there's a lot of different ways to repurpose this. And if this tracker is something that speaks to you and you could use it in other ways in addition to a mood tracker, before you start marking it up, maybe scan it in and you make a couple of copies that you can cut down and just insert into your journal to track other things. It's a lovely little tracker. Let me show you how folks use it. So here are some repurposes for this tracker. There is an anxiety tracker. That one was one that Bailey did a long time ago, but I think she found it so interesting to really look at where her anxiety levels were hanging out, and then maybe seeing if there were trends, what is going on and why am I feeling so scattered today? the idea of a calm tracker of like, is this something that you need because you find yourself going, oh, all the time, and I need to really embrace calm. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to track moments of calmness. And I've got my ideas here to either walk or read or do a breathing exercise. Love the idea of a spending tracker. Maybe financial is one of your areas that you're working on. And so you're just going to have this staring at you as you check in with yourself each day on what you've spent. This one over on the right is one of my favorites of all time. It's a manifest happiness tracker. And so it was, just checking in and looking for ways of connecting with people, being creative, complimenting, smile, enjoy, and self-care. Just that good juju out into the world. So I always love that idea. Maybe you need a movement tracker, and look, there's only 4 things being tracked, and that is a good call out too, because perhaps you're just going to track happy and sad. You don't have to track 6 different things. It's okay to just track 2 things. A calorie tracker. And then I love also how to start the day in a good mood. So this person gave themselves a routine of 6 things. So maybe really trying to work on that morning routine. And so they are diving into a tracker for that morning routine. And they gave themselves 6 things to start their day out in a great way. And if they did one of them, they got a gray sticker. If they did all 6, they got that bright maroon sticker. So just kind of that accountability for keeping with that morning rhythm and routine. This is a great place for a symptom tracker. I use mine as a book tracker. There is an example, and I actually this month had to just make some other hexagons because I've been just pouring through the audiobooks as I've been cleaning. And so, you just kind of color in as you're reading. A kindness tracker, workout, anytime you're working out, rate the day. I love a rating scale, on a scale of 1 to whatever, how am I going to rate this day? How did it go? And then, of course, that activity tracker down at the bottom, and it's got things on there like I walked my dog and I took a bath, and kind of those rhythms and routines that this person is trying to lean into. So, one more time, mark those days that are kind of different. Your weekends may look different from weekdays because mark that off. And then I wanted to say one other thing about this tracker. If you are tracking, like, say, your moods, and that's something you're really trying to lean into, if you have another tracker you're not using, like maybe you don't use your expense tracker, or maybe you don't use your sleep tracker because you're doing it all on a smartwatch device. Maybe take a secondary tracker and pair it with this mood tracker. And so when you are rating your day and you're looking and you're like, today was a day of joy. And then go to that secondary tracker that you might not be using, or even just a blank notes page, and write why it was a joyful day, or write why it was a tough day, and see if that will help you also notice those trends or places that you could maybe put some changes in place. Maybe do a stop, start, and continue check in with those moods, and it might help you sort of recalibrate, realign to the values that you have for what you want in your life. I'm gonna put on some music and share the things that are. I can see that the chat's moving. I'm gonna go back and read everything, but share what's coming up for you and how you use this. And if you've been using this tracker for a long time, sing its praises. Tell us why you love this tracker. And I'll be back to check in with you in just a few minutes. Oh, Indra, that was sweet that your daughter dedicated that song to her grandmother after she passed. It is a sweet, sweet song. That's an oldie from Tarzan. And somebody said it's time to watch Tarzan again. We're going to finish up our time together by looking at that habit tracker. And I love this tracker. I love the habit tracker. Um, this is where we start small and then we end up with big results when we can are consistent with using a tracker for new habits. And maybe, putting down things that don't serve us as new habits, and then continuing to do it. And I love this little graphic. You save $8 a day, you got almost $3,000 at the end of the year. If you read 20 pages a day, you're on average going to read 30 books a year. If you walk 10,000 steps a day, you've hit 70 marathons in a year. So don't underestimate the power of your small habits. Every little bit counts, and matters. So we've got this habit tracker now. If you're brand new, we have this habit tracker. And then when you go to your weekly setup, there's another habit tracker. And people are like, why are there two? And we like to look at this one as kind of those things that we are aiming to do every single day of the month. And I'm going to tell you, put some gimmies on here. Put that morning brush teeth in the morning, right? You're going to do that. Put that on there. Give yourself a win, because it makes you turn to that page, check something off, and it gets you going on the other things that you want to do. The weekly habit tracker can be changed up. You can have the same habits on both of those trackers, but the weekly one is called a habit and activity tracker. So it might be things like, if you do carpool on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you would put that in your weekly tracker because it's going to kind of vary from week to week what you do. You're not necessarily doing that every single day. I always say I have a medication. It's done every 3 days. So that goes in my weekly tracker. This tracker is for the things that I'd like to do all 28 days of February. Again, go back, look at those areas that you are recalibrating, that you're going to grow and nurture, and think about a small habit that will get you one step closer to bringing that category up in your wheel of life, or to getting you closer to stopping that thing or starting that thing. You don't have to fill in every line. There are 7 lines here for 7 habits, but you take what you need. Maybe you only need to track 3 things this month. Now, I'm a black pen onto paper girl. Check. That's what my page looked like. Nothing like this beautiful mandala. I love it, but I won't be doing this because I don't have that talent. So you can embrace your artistic side and complete your mandala through this habit tracker, or you can just check. Now I want to point out a couple of things on that habit tracker you see on the right. They are actually not just checking, but they are tracking their weight, and they're actually writing that into those squares. A lot of times I'll do my protein, my grams of protein, and I'll just write that number, trying to hit it to be at least 100 every day. I also do a social connection there, and I'll put the initials of the person that I reached out to. So it doesn't have to just be a check off. You can actually use that as little bits of data collection. This person has also, you can see, outlined the weekend to because some of you may give yourself permission to not worry about rhythms and routines on the weekends. If you've got young kids at home, the rhythm and routine you have Monday through Friday may not be the same one on Saturday and Sunday. So again, it's about taking what you need, or giving yourself permission to, like, oh, well, that was a weekend, so I don't take that habit as seriously on the weekend because the days are off. Here's some more examples. You can do stickers, you can do check marks. marks. Notice how the one on the right, I use this example a lot. They've kind of put little notes above those days. You can see there's a lot of traveling in this person's life. It kind of helps them get this explanation of maybe why habits didn't happen. Well, I was in Bellingham, Washington those days, and I did not, it was raining every day, and so I didn't get out and do my walking. It'll kind of help tell that story. All of these trackers are points of data for you, data collection. Notice the one on the left, we're tracking just 3 things. That's how this person will be successful by just doing those 3 main things, those small habits that will lead to big results. I love the color coding at the one that's there on the bottom left, because those are the different weeks. And it's differentiated that way. So they've already colored them in, and then they'll do by week. They'll be able to examine the data that they collect. And then the one on the right, they've got their habits, and right under habits, you can see a little gray mark, and I've blown it up at the bottom. And that little gray mark means, oops, I didn't do it. I'm going to try it again tomorrow. But an acknowledgement, yes, I didn't do that. And they're going to use that gray mark to color in on days that they miss. But just to acknowledge it, give themselves that grace, and move on, which I love. Here is a couple of complete habit trackers that have the data all listed out there, the numbers of days and the percentages that those things were reached. And then finally, it's not a coverall. You don't have to do it all. We want to aim for that, but give yourself grace as you are doing this. I'm going to put on a quick little bit of music, share in the chat what you are tracking this month. Once again, here goes our time together that just flies. I've kept you over class. My apologies. Um, you guys, it's going to be a great month. We are going to see the admiration in ourselves and others. And I'm real excited that I'm starting it out with you. We've got our trackers set up, our intentions are ready, and we are ready to make these weeks count. So thank you. Share as you are comfortable in Sonder Club. We love examples. We love to have those for one another. Remember that personal coaching. Bailey will drop those links in the chat again, and all of these monthly setups will be recorded. There's 2 more left, and they will be posted to the private YouTube channel that Bailey's going to share with you. And then you'll be able to access them. And then we will see you next time at a weekly setup or one of our socials for working in our journals. Thanks for joining us this evening. You guys are just admirable.
I love me. I love me. I don't know about you, but baby, I love me. Now everybody say, oh, I love me. shoes.